Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the Color Gemstone Academy. My name is Paul Deasy, your instructor, and this is my YouTube channel, Paul Deasy Gemstones. Well, haven't been doing lessons for quite a while, but you've continued to support me. We are we're over 2,800 subscribers now, so with your help, I'd like to get to 3,000 as the next plateau. So if you've not yet subscribed, please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything, it's completely free, but it allows me to continue to do these lessons for you for free as well. All right, so this is going to be lesson number 73. It's all about something called the Conch Pearl. Now, the Conch Pearl is one of the most rare gemstones on planet Earth. Some of you might not have heard of it, but that's what this lesson is going to be all about. Okay, so what is a Conch Pearl? Well, if you know what conch is a food source. It's a shell. It's a mollusk. It's a sea snail, and it's a delicacy all around the Caribbean. You might have had conch fritters, the conch meat, conch steaks, and it is basically harvested as a food source. But sometimes, very, very, very rarely, they might produce something that is called a conch pearl. Now, the conch pearl isn't a pearl in the traditional sense that you're thinking of. Most of the mollusks that are creating pearls would be from an oyster. You've seen an oyster, and you probably heard of cultured pearls. What they're doing is they have these farms, and they take the oyster, they insert an irritant, they call it mantle, into that oyster, and then it secretes something called nacre. And nacre is what makes a pearl a pearl. It's just kind of wrapping around that irritant. And what lines the inside of that oyster shell is called mother of pearl, and that is also nacre. But the conch pearl is not actually a pearl in the traditional sense of the word. Okay, so why do I say the conch pearl isn't a pearl in the traditional sense? Well, because it has no nacre. And if you kind of study this in the Gemological Institute of America, they describe it as conch pearls are calcareous concretions of the queen conch mollusk, which is a large sea snail, and it creates something that has a pearl structure, but it is called a non-nacreous pearl, according to the Gemological Institute of America. So it doesn't have nacre. And it has, actually, since we're on that subject, let's go to what I like to call the tail of the tape and talk about some of the chemical composition of the pearl. So if you look on your screen, you will see that the chemical composition is a calcium carbonate, conchiolin, and water. Now, what is the crystal structure? Well, it really doesn't have a crystal structure. It's not a mineral like you see with a diamond or an amethyst or a sapphire. It's what I would call amorphous, almost like an opal would be. So it's an amorphous, non-crystal structure is what the pearl is. But does it have a hardness? Yes. Now, in the conch pearl, it's a variable hardness, believe it or not, depending upon the color of that pearl. So basically, 5 to 6 would be the hardness for the pink material. Some of the yellows or the browns, probably more like a 4 to 5 on the Mohs scale of hardness. Remember, the Mohs scale of hardness is what gem will scratch another gem. So like its oyster pearl counterpart, it's not the hardest material you're going to have, but you can wear it certainly every single day. Toughness is considered fair. Toughness, remember, is the ability to withstand breaking and cracking. Certainly you can wear the conch pearl every day if you can find one. When we think of pearls, we don't evaluate them in terms of their sparkle. We think about the luster. That's that reflective surface. Like if you shine a light on it and you see that sheen coming right back to you, that's the luster. Well, the way they describe the luster of the conch pearl is a little bit different from the traditional cultured pearl from an oyster that you're thinking about. So what they describe it as if you look at the inside of the shell, you see almost like something that looks like a shiny porcelain finish. That's the luster. That's the same luster you're going to see on the conch pearl itself. Now, where do these pearls come from? Well, basically in the Caribbean, basically from Florida, like the Florida Keys, to the Caribbean, to maybe as far south as the northern part of Brazil. So again, I mentioned earlier, it's a food source, and but I also mentioned it's one of the most rare gemstones on planet Earth. Now, why do I say that? You're thinking, wait a minute, I mean, I know like alexandrite's really rare, and an emerald that would be completely eye clean would be pretty rare. Why do I say that the conch pearl is one of the most rare gemstones on Earth? And they have sold at auctions for sometimes millions of dollars for a single conch pearl. Well, this is how rare they are. Remember, it's the conch. Now basically, when people are harvesting the conch, they're doing it for the food, and then maybe they're going to sell the shell. Like if you go to a Caribbean country, they might sell a conch shell. You put it on your your mantle or put it on your bookshelf. But in this case, when they are extracting the food, sometimes in a very rare case, they will see a pearl in there, and hopefully it would be a pink color. It can be a range of colors: yellow, brown, pink, golden. I've seen a lot of different colors of the conch pearls. But when you think about all of the conch shells that are harvested, they say that you might find a pearl in every 10 to 20,000 shells. So imagine you collected 10,000 or 20,000 of these conch shells, and you were looking for that coveted conch pearl. You might find one in every 10 to 20,000 shells. Now here's where it gets even more dicey. Of those, one out of every 10,000 or 20,000 shells, you will only find a gem quality conch pearl in maybe 10% of what you find. So literally, it's like one gem quality conch pearl in every 100,000 of those shells. Yeah, it's pretty rare. Okay, so we've established that rarity. 1 in 100,000 shells is going to be a gem grade pearl. Very, very desirable, but very, very expensive. Well, adding to that problem of the rarity, let's talk about the life of the queen conch. That's what the one that creates, hopefully, your conch pearl. They live in shallow waters. And in fact, if you look all around the Caribbean, it's really kind of a shallow sea. And really closer to shore is where you're going to find those shells. They're not in really the deep waters. So they live in shallow, they're slow to grow, they're slow to mature. And so overfishing of the conch becomes a problem because you're not replenishing as you're taking more of them out of circulation, and especially again once you get the pearl out of there, the organism dies. So they started to limit the amount of harvesting of the queen conch, and in fact I think, and I know it's a threatened species. I don't know if it's actually. It's protected, so it's a threatened species, and I think in Key West they have banned any commercial or recreational collecting of the conch because they want it to thrive again, and it's starting to make a comeback. So that's again makes it even more rare than the 1 in 100,000 when they don't find as many of them these days as they used to. But this leads to another question which I know must be on your mind, and that would be, well, wait a minute, I have a solution. So with the oysters, they have these farms where they culture the pearls. Why can't they do the same thing with the conch pearl and the queen conch animal? Well, has some challenges there as well. When you think about the oyster, first of all, it's pretty easy for them to insert the irritant. Think of the oyster shell like that. So they can insert the mantle and then let it sit in the farm for a couple of years, and hopefully you're going to get that desirable pearl, and they can harvest that pearl without actually harming the animal. Well, a little bit more difficult when we start talking about the queen conch shell. Now, instead of being a shell like this, it's a spiral with really one very difficult place to go to insert that irritant that hopefully would create a pearl. And they didn't want the organism to die as a result. So there was, and I think it was Florida Atlantic University, I want to say sometime in the early 2000s, 2002, 3, 4, 5, something like that, started to figure out how can we do a cultured conch pearl. So they had some mixed results, some mixed successes. And I think that originally they might have had a harvest of maybe 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 conch pearls. And then as they got further along in their research, I believe there were some successes to the tune of maybe a couple of hundred of those conch pearls. But so far as of this date, I don't believe that they have had any of the cultured conch pearls hit the market that I know of. I'll do some more research and see if and when that happens. If and when that happens, I would be all for it, because I think it would be a way that you could possibly be able to afford. I still think that'd be very expensive because there's a great deal of cost in the research of trying to perfect the cultured conch pearl. However, they've not been vilely sold yet, so we don't know what the market's going to be, but I will tell you this, it's still going to be extremely rare to find a completely natural, non-cultured conch pearl. And if you ever get the chance to see one or look it up, I'll have some images to show you online. I don't own one. It's too rich for my blood. But anyway, that is truly one of the amazing gemstones that comes from the sea. That means it's completely organic and completely natural. And I hope you enjoyed this lesson on the conch pearl. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I will get back to my question and answer series and more gem lessons as we go along. If you have not yet subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. It is completely free, doesn't cost you a dime. If you'd like to share the video, you can do that as well. Thank you so much. I'll see you next week at the Colored Gemstone Academy. Bye, everybody.